Welcome everyone to Strategies by Sideline Sports Network. I hope y'all are having a good evening. Hope that everyone is settling for this schedule release for the ACC. If you see me looking off to the left, it's because I'm looking at the ACC network. Got that turned all the way down because I don't want to interrupt what we're talking about, even though they're talking about what we want to know about, which is the ACC schedule. I wish they would just release the whole schedule instead of doing it game by game like they're doing. But if they didn't, if they just released the whole schedule, we probably wouldn't watch the whole show. But here, eventually, the whole schedule will be out. And we'll be able to talk about it in depth, kind of getting to know whether you got Clemson early, Clemson late. Is Miami and Clemson back to back? Just kind of see, what we got going. Because right now, we don't know. James Coleman's on his way. Chip might be able to make it. He's trying to get on. Tonight's going to be a decent episode, everybody. Obviously, we're going to talk about the late 2023 commit with the linebacker that was committed to some small school in Texas, who came on a visit to Florida State here recently. And Randy Shannon went ahead and got him another linebacker in 2023. Nothing wrong with that. He's a 3-star guy. A lot of people are saying that he shouldn't have got a phone call from Florida State. He's not good enough and stuff to that nature. And I'm just going to say I trust the process of what Norvell's got going on, man. I get it that he's not a top-of-the-line linebacker recruit, according to others. But at this point, trust the evaluation of Coach Norvell, Randy Shannon, and the rest of this coaching staff. They seem to be doing a pretty good job for us to get 10 wins. Were there other linebackers out there that I wish we would have got? Of course. But it is what it is. And obviously Florida State thought it was important enough to get the young man on, onto the team. So they were able to do so. So that was good. I think that he brings depth, if nothing else. He brings depth to the linebacker room. How's it going, Chip?
Hey, man. It's going finally.
I hear you. Well, I released – I didn't release it. Obviously, I'm talking about the new 2023 commit, the linebacker that was committed to a North Texas school, smaller school. A lot of fans on Twitter and Facebook and stuff are saying – why did we go after this guy?
Hey, for those fans, there's always diamonds in the rough. You never know.
I mean, if you go look at the kid, he looks the part. His name's Dylan Brown Turner, and the kid really looks the part. I mean, he's length. He's got decent size to him coming out of high school. And I try to tell people a lot of times, I trust the coach's evaluation a hell of a lot more than I do 247 or whomever else is, giving him stars. So I trust, what Randy Shannon sees, Fuller's seeing, what Coach Norvell's seeing. Obviously, they thought he was a good enough piece to continue to recruit him this late in, the 23 process. So I'm trying to get everybody to calm down because that worst case scenario, you've got a depth piece that you didn't have before. It's never bad to add to the depth. Do I think he's going to be a year one contributor? No. But I don't expect really any of the 23 guys outside of Hakeem Williams and maybe Conrad Hussey. I don't really see any of them being day one contributors. So let this young man develop.
Chris, you mentioned that. I mean, we would have never known Jared Verse would have been what he was. And look, he came from a very small school.
Yes. I mean, Jermaine Johnson the same way. Jermaine was in a JUCO before he came up to Georgia. And then Georgia didn't utilize him, because of all the dogs that they had on the team. No pun intended. So he came to Florida State, and you saw how well he shined. So obviously that kid was missed by many. Jared Verse was missed by many, and that's just naming two recent ones. There's plenty in the past that you can name that went to smaller schools, JUCO schools, Division II, Division III schools that end up in the NFL. that I'm sure Florida State and other schools wish they would have had.
Mm-hmm.
So don't always get hung up on the stars, guys. I'm not saying that we don't need to go after blue chip players. I'm just stating that whatever Florida State's evaluated out of this young man, they obviously like it. They obviously think that he can contribute to this team. They obviously believe that he's going to develop into a very good player. So just don't lose faith in what the coaching staff sees versus what media outlets are giving you. Like it's, fortunate for us, it's not all's all once 247 or someone drops their rating. That doesn't say all about that player. Luckily for us, we get to see him. Luckily for us, we've got a coaching staff that gets paid pretty damn good money to evaluate these guys. So we'll see how he turns out. I'm not telling you that he don't transfer in the year. I don't know. But if my coaching staff decides that they want him here and they think that he's a good fit and they think that he can contribute to us winning ball games, well, by all means, bring him on. Obviously, tonight we're talking a little bit about the linebacker commit, and also everybody's waiting on the full drop of the schedule from the ACC. The ACC network has got all of those normal guys from the huddle on there. They're all going game by game, team by team, slow as I'll get out. But like I said, I think they do that because you wouldn't watch the show if they just dropped the full schedule. You wouldn't watch the whole show. So they have to do it this way. But I would imagine here in the next 20 or 30 minutes, we should have the entire schedule out. I sure hope so. But other than that, Chip, how are things been going? How you been doing?
Man, things have been going pretty good. I mean, work has kind of held me from really concentrating on doing the podcast with you and then keep growing the Unconquered 850 page. But everything else, I'm like you. I'm waiting on the schedule, the release.
Well, that's it's not good that you haven't been able to focus on the podcast and focus on Unconquered 850, but obviously that means you're making money, and making money is important. Let's see. We got James also ready. Man, if you don't take the damn Mike Norvell hoodie off. See, I'm mad at you. If you want one, you need to give me one.
But earlier today.
I've seen the picture.
I was seeing my plug can get another one. It was.
They better hope and pray to God they didn't get one. Because I've been trying to get one of those since before the whole thing came out. I was like, man, I sure like that hoodie. When he wore it the first game before it ever came a thing, I was like, man, I like that hoodie. And I've been trying to get one ever since. So, but we'll see. Obviously,
on looking swollen everything.
Yeah, that's what it does. That's why everybody thinks Mike's cut up. He ain't.
Nah, it doesn't. It definitely hugs.
Oh yeah.
It makes you look a lot better than what you are. It's lightweight too, so I can see why he wears this. Like I can wear this in the summer and be okay. Like the other cream one I got is like, nah, it's got to be cold, like, or you're gonna be sweating. So,
and that's the exact types of shirts I like too, because I'm a very hot natured person. So when it is a little bit chilly, I don't need a full fledged hoodie. I need something thin, it just covers that part of the skin, and I'll stay warm enough. But I did, before you got on here, James, a little bit before Chip got on here, I was talking about the late commit for the linebacker position, the 3-star, and Dylan Brown Turner, who was committed to a Northern Texas school. It's a small school.
The Mean Green, University of North Texas.
So a lot of fans are saying, why are we going after a guy that's a 3-star? He was going to this school. Why does Florida State think that he's any good? Blah, blah, blah. And my argument is why are we still questioning what Norvell and the staff evaluate? Obviously, they see something that he can do to benefit Florida State moving forward. I don't believe that he'll be a year one contributor, but outside of Conrad Hussey and Hakeem Williams, I don't see any really 2023 guy being a day one contributor. Not that they're expected to. So if you want to touch any base off of that, that would be cool. If not, we'll move forward.
I think the issue doesn't come in. There's always going to be people like, why is this person playing? Like, even when we think about Trayshawn Ward, who's proven that he was a good running back here. Like, wow, we got this walk-on running back. Well, no, he's not a walk-on anymore. He's clearly good. So you have things that people are trying to like justify when there were people that you looked over, that people felt would have been better in this area. And I think that's where the mistake comes in. You just got to give it like you just said, he's not going to – we know we don't have any more impact guys per se. And that's just where you got to take it at. I mean, he's going to be a developmental guy, and hopefully he plays. But the way that Mike and these guys are recruiting with the 2024 class, the 2025 class is looking like that, even going into 2026, eventually he may phase out, but you got to hope for the best.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was also letting everyone know that's watching. Obviously, we're all waiting on the ACC to completely drop the full schedule here. They're going game by game or week by week for every team. But I'm expecting here in the next 20 or so minutes that the full schedule will finally be dropped and we can actually go through this thing, because some people are saying that they've got sneak peeks of the schedule and all that stuff. That may be true. And it might be true that we're playing Miami and Clemson week back to back.
We play Clemson in September. It was already wrong.
So that's cool. I know that we're playing Wake Forest here in October. October 28th, it looks like, when we're playing against Wake Forest. But I want to see the full schedule. Does anyone have it yet, or has it not been dropped? Okay.
Well, you can kind of start piecing it together. I always tell, like, if you're a real fan, and I guess I shouldn't say real fan like you're not a fan, but like I pay attention to things. Like I tell when he dropped the Miami, it's like there's no way we would play Miami that close to Florida. We always play Miami. We typically play Clemson around Halloween, but but Miami would be that last game in October or the first game in November. So that's probably going to be the next game that they show that we're going to play the University of Miami.
I actually do have the full list.
Oh, you do?
Believe it or not, it just dropped. And I'm assuming that this is 100% correct. It is Sports Illustrated that is stating it. So week 1, obviously, we already know is LSU. Week 2, it's the home opener against Southern Miss. Week 3, we play Boston College at Boston College. Week 4, we play Clemson at Clemson. That's what it says. September 23rd, we play Clemson at Clemson. Then we go into week 5, which is a bye week, which is September 30th. Then week 6, Saturday, October 7th, Virginia Tech is at home here at Tallahassee. Week 7, October 14th, we play Syracuse. Week 8, we play Duke. Week 9 at Wake Forest, October 28th. Week 10 at Pittsburgh. Week 11, Miami at the house. Week 12, North Alabama home final, senior day. And week 13, we play Florida at Florida. That's what it shows. And that's per Sports Illustrated.
That's probably about right. That Miami one kind of does suck, though. Miami and Florida that close.
Yeah,
that's a lot of emotion.
But like I've told people, because I knew the schedule already, and not in order, but we knew who we were playing for the physical year. You're going to go and play against LSU at the neutral site in Orlando. Obviously, I'm going to pick Florida State to win that game because not only the returners that we've got coming back, but because we beat them last year. And I think that LSU's lost a lot of players. They've done pretty well in the transfer portal. I don't expect the class that was recruited there the first year to be much of a worry, but they did do a good job in the transfer portal. Is it a give-me game? Hell no. But I still think Florida State's got more experience, and I do think that Florida State has more depth. So I think I'm going to favor Florida State to win that ball game. Plus, it should be very much like a home game, seeing how it's in Orlando. We can't allow LSU to come take Orlando over the way the Noles went and took New Orleans over. We can't allow that to happen. Then, obviously, week 2, we're playing against Southern Miss. Now, if we were playing Southern Miss 10 years ago, whatever it was when they were on a hot streak for a little while, I'd be worried. I'm not saying you can take Southern Miss lightly, but I think we should be favored to beat Southern Miss. So far, I'm saying we've got 2 wins. Boston College, I definitely expect to beat because they have lost so much. And Boston College may be one of the worst teams in the ACC this year, in my opinion. I know they're well coached. They got some things they're looking on the bright side for them, but I don't think Boston College is going to give too many people a headache this year, personally. This is the game that I think is a 50-50 show-up, which we'll know more once we see these teams play during the season. But Clemson in Week 4 at Clemson is probably, other than LSU, your toughest game of the season. Well, now, my question to both of y'all is the LSU game the tougher game out of the 2, or is Clemson the tougher game out of the 2?
Clemson. We haven't beat Clemson in quite some time, and it matters. LSU, don't get me wrong, all of them matter. We right now we're going in with aspirations to win a national championship or compete for a national championship. To get there though, you have to win your conference. So like while we want to beat LSU, but if you lose to LSU, you still do not eliminate all the opportunities that you have. So you can still go beat Clemson, beat them again in Charlotte in December, and still play for an opportunity in the college football playoff the way things pan out. So, but you haven't beat Clemson. You've come close the last 2 times, but you still haven't been able to do it. And you're going to Clemson, and which is a very hot. It's the loudest stadium I've ever played in, and you got to go shut them up early, and that's kind of like just where they've had a struggle. So, but then again, I'll give Mike credit for this. Mike, after Clemson this past season, has been, not just Mike and Coach Atkins post Clemson has been very explosive and very dynamic. So I think things could change, but until you can't be the champ until you knock the champ out.
Well, like Ric Flair said, to be a man, you got to beat the man, and is definitely Clemson. We have to punch Clemson in the mouth for us to establish ourselves now as the new big dog in the ACC.
Well, I do agree with both of you. I think that the Clemson game is not only the tougher of the 2, but it's also more important. I think it's more important for this program. If you lose to LSU, you still have a path to making it into the ACC championship, obviously. You also have an avenue to get into the playoffs. Because if that's the only game that you lose throughout the year, an 11-1 Florida State team could be a potential playoff team. I mean, our schedule is not as tough as it was last year, but we also don't know that because we don't know how good these teams could be. Like Syracuse last year, in the first half of the season, that was a surprise. I don't think anyone expected Syracuse to be as good as they were. And then, they fell off luckily and were injured and some things were going wrong when we met them and we beat them, which I think we would have beat them regardless. But that was a decent win. Duke is not coming off of a terrible season. This is probably the best Duke has played, and I don't know. This might be the best Duke football's ever been. I don't know. I know that it's the best they've been in quite some time, and that's not a team that you go and take lightly by any means. So it just all depends. But I think the reason the Clemson game is the most important is because you have to take that crown back that's rightfully yours, that you should rightfully so take back. Clemson's been on somewhat of a downward trajectory here for the past couple of years. And a 10-win season or 11-win season being a downward trajectory for a team that's obviously still good. It's obviously not the worst thing in the world, but when Florida State and Mike Norvell's trajectory is going up and Clemson seems to be going down, you can't make an excuse for losing that ball game. I think that this year, if you want to be in that national talk, if you want to be an ACC contender or the king of the ACC, so to speak, you have to beat this team regardless if that's who you play in Charlotte for the ACC title or not. Again, which would be the second time to play them, but you have to beat this team because right now they own the ACC. So I hate them. I can't stand Dabo Swinney. I can't stand the orange. I can't stand the rock that they touch when they're running down the hill. I can't stand anything about Clemson. I don't like anything about them. I don't like their stadium. I don't like going to Clemson. I think it's terrible. And I think that tradition of touching the rock is a joke because they try to compare it to our traditions and it's not comparable. But that's me being biased as a Florida State fan. But do you not think that petting your pet rock on the way down to a football game is just a tad bit silly? I mean, seriously. It's a pet rock that they're touching before they go down the field. And then you watch Dabo Swinney's goofy self look like one game he is going to faceplant.
I can't wait for it.
You know, they all make fun of when Renegade fell over in the that happened at the Chick-fil-A in Mercedes-Benz Stadium, the old one, when we were playing in the Chick-fil-A Bowl against Houston. That's when that happened one time. I was there live for it to see it. And, you know, they've made fun of that ever since. I cannot wait for Dabo Swinney to faceplant going down that hill because it is going to happen. But moving forward just a little bit, guys, do y'all feel like there is a sleeper as of right now in the ACC or that's on our schedule that could cause us issues? And I don't mind going over the schedule again so you know it, but do y'all feel like there's anyone that we need to be on the lookout for, whether we're going to see them at their home or if they're coming to our house? Is there anyone that you feel like we could slip up against if we don't play ball the right way?
Pittsburgh. When you think of the teams that we struggle with, whether it's close games or, Wake Forest was the weird offense, but we figured it out. North Carolina State, we couldn't score. Pittsburgh runs a physical offense, and they'll have a capable passer. They're going to run the ball well, and that's really where we were weak at. If Florida would have continued to run the ball, we probably wouldn't have won that game, but thank God they decided to be arrogant and try to air it out. Oklahoma was running the ball very well on us for a time. So the only way to really be able to beat those guys is to jump out on them early, get the crowd out. But I think Pittsburgh's always one of those teams that every 3 to 4 years is going to make some noise. They're going to beat some teams that you didn't think that they would beat, and kind of be that team. Outside of that, I think this will be a down year for Wake Forest. Virginia Tech is still kind of really reeling from everything that they've been going through. I don't really think that the ACC is really. I mean, we played Duke, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, it's still Duke, but we talked about that for Wake Forest for years. But Elko is a good coach, so we'll see how well prepared they are. But if they come in and they just treat it like, oh my God, this is just a duck team, then they'll, Duke could surprise you and give you a harder time.
And I did just send both of y'all the schedule on your phone. I know, Chip, you can't look at yours exactly right now, but and maybe you want to base your potential loss off of, maybe 2 tough games ahead of the situation, or, we might have came out of a terrible week going into another game. So you got LSU first, and I think that game could be considered a 50-50 game. I still expect us to win it, but it could be. And then you go to Southern Miss. Well, Southern Miss comes to us. And then you play against Boston College in week 3. Your bye week is week 5, right after you play Clemson in week 4. And then week 6, you play against Virginia Tech. Week 7, you play against Syracuse. Week 8, you play against Duke. Week 9, you play against Wake Forest. Week 10 is Pittsburgh. Week 11 is Miami. Week 12 is North Alabama. And obviously week 13 is Florida. If you were to pick a sleeper possibly, Chip, who do you think out of those teams would you say? Are you on the same page with James with it being Pitt?
Yeah, on the same page as James, but I would add in, I've got 3 teams that we need to watch out for Pitt, Duke, and hear me out on this, North Alabama. Because North Alabama, I mean, they're traditionally a very tough team. And you've seen what's happened in the years past with Samford coming in and with Jacksonville State. Like, we tend to let our guard down and let these teams stay in the game. Now, hopefully Norvell has gotten that out of the whole, Jacksonville State, what they were able to do in Doak a couple of years ago, which I believe he has. This is a totally different team, but that was just food for thought. I mean, North Alabama is traditionally a very strong team.
I wonder, the only reason that you play 2 hard games before you play North Alabama. And playing Pittsburgh, which is the dark horse that James is pointing out. And then right after that, you play Miami, which is not necessarily that you got to worry about Miami beating you, because I don't think that they've got the dogs in the house to be able to beat us. But that's going to be a really emotional game. There's no telling if there's any type of injuries or something to that nature to happen. And then it's right before your Florida game. So I can see where North Alabama gets overlooked. You could possibly suffer from some types of injuries or being complacent possibly and letting the team stick around like what Chip's talking about. But we got to make sure we don't get Middle Tennessee like Miami did. We got to make sure that doesn't happen. And I think Norvell's done a really good job of getting the majority of those things out, getting that out of the way, get that stuff out of your system. Don't let that shit happen again, that kind of thing. But what I'm going to go to now, because we're not going to do a season prediction on this show. That's going to be probably 2 weeks from now. I'm going to do a complete season prediction, give a score to each and every game before the season ever starts. Because last year I picked it on the money, 9-3. I just messed up one game. But I'm going to try to do that again. But I'm not going to overthink it, because last year I damn sure didn't overthink it. I just threw out what I thought was going to happen right off the top of my head. And luckily, I was close, very close. So what we're going to move to for this show is talking about another junior day of how many visits that we had that came here to Florida State. We talk about how good Florida State is doing on the 2024 recruiting trail. So, obviously, who visited was FSU commit 2024 kicker Jake Weinberg. He visited this past weekend, which is already a verbal commit. 2024 4-star offensive lineman Caleb Holmes. He was there and visited. 2024 4-star athlete, I want to make sure I'm saying this right, LaWayne McCoy has visited FSU. Food for thought. He's visited FSU 5 times and plans to visit FSU for a 6th time coming up in the spring. So that's a 4-star athlete that has obviously been here multiple times and is already stating a 6th time that he's going to come back. So obviously he's liking what he's seeing. And then you've got 2024 4-star tight end Walter Matthews, which I'm very high on this young man. I really like his length. I like his abilities. I'm extremely ecstatic for his ability to catch. He has very soft hands. He does a really good job at going and getting the ball regardless if it's up, down. He seems to be really flexible on a back shoulder throw that you don't see a lot in high school. And I've seen him do it a couple times, and he makes it look almost effortless. And it's really surprising because from receivers that I've spoke to, that's not the easiest thing to do is adjust back to that ball on a back shoulder throw. You can get confused where your hands need to be. So I'm really high on him. Then you've got 2024 3-star dual athlete BJ Gibson. He's visited FSU 5 times already. And then you've got 2024 3-star edge Jeremiah. I don't know how to say his last name. I'm going to say Marcellin is how he says it. And then you've got 2024 3-star wide receiver Michael Key. And then you've got 2024 3-star defensive lineman Kendall Jackson. 2024 3-star defensive lineman Kavion Benton. 2024 3-star edge Tycho Hill Lumen. 2024 3-star edge. Nope, that was in there twice. Excuse me. 2024 3-star athlete Shahali Cummings, I think is how he says it. Khalil Cummings. 2024 Reiner Andrews and 2024 defensive lineman Nasaria Johnson. But here's the crazy part, guys. All those names I just named off wasn't even half of the athletes that showed up for junior day this past weekend. It wasn't even half.
And then a lot of them, what's crazy is there's a lot of other guys who are interested, but there was a major 7-on-7 tournament in Orlando. So
yes,
other kids still weren't able to go. Like I know French would have been there had he not been competing down in Orlando.
See, just like we've got a comment here, and I don't usually pull these comments because it's not a paid comment, but I'm going to say it anyway. Shannon is starting to piss me off with these linebacker recruiting. This is the second guy he has reached for between Turner and Ward, both developmental guys. I'm cool with taking one, but not two. Well,
I mean, it's like this. If they probably identified somebody in the transfer portal, well, let's go back. Let's take some steps back. The recruiting game is with NIL is nowhere near like what it used to be. So, in theory, we can go get a kid and pay a scholarship through NIL. So, we could take a kid, move him off of scholarship that's currently here right now. Probably a more mature, older kid. The cool thing about that is they know they'll get their money a little bit more consistently and quicker than they did before. But there's ways that you can do stuff. Jazz Turnantine. That's how he says his last name, right?
Turnantine.
He was actually not a scholarship player. He's a walk-on. So there's things that we can do to be able to get that. So that's one thing. Two, go and look at the depth chart in that position. While there should be fear possibly in the 24 season, 25 season, this season coming up is what Florida State is actually playing for. So obviously there was nobody in the transfer portal that they felt they could get that just really just made waves for them. So they didn't really do the top guys were already gone out of high school, and they had a small list. One of the kids ended up Wilson left Tallahassee to go to Georgia. That was a guy that they were really, really targeting and felt like they may have had a shot on. But you've got Bethune and Deloach coming back. You got Young 3-6 coming back. I can't even think of his name. I just know I like him because his number. You've got Sunshine from out of California coming. And you still have DJ, and that's not including DJ Lundy, and no disrespect to DJ Lundy, as well as I'm trying to think of somebody else. So we run two linebackers. So you legitimately, if you have to go to your fifth string or your 10th linebacker, we got bigger issues right now. We got to talk with Storms about what's going on with the strength and conditioning department, or what are some of these injuries. We really want to be 2 to 3 deep, and you want to be able to get these guys reps and blow out games, and they're only playing 4. And then what you'll do is you'll try to address it in the portal when the fall and the spring comes out. And then right now you're already trending very well with some linebackers currently in the 24 to 25 classes. So while I can understand the maybe wishing we would have got a better pick than the 128 linebacker, I would say let's go watch the film a little bit. Let's not trade in everything and think the world is falling, because if we have to rely on all but one of the freshmen, we're probably in a bad spot at that linebacker position anyway. So just ride it out. That's all I can tell people. I mean, who would have thought linebacker would be one of the stronger position groups on our team based upon what the previous few years has been. But right now, we'll arguably have, believe it or not, we'll arguably have one of the better linebacker cores in the Atlantic Coast Conference, with all things being considered.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Florida State will have one of the top linebacker rooms in the ACC. There's no doubt about it. Potentially a decent way up, according to all, being nationally, will be a pretty damn good core of guys. So while we might not understand why we're recruiting certain guys, or we might not understand why this guy's a 5-star athlete that's the next God knows who. Obviously, Florida State sees something in him. They obviously see something that he can do that will benefit Florida State. If you go look at his pictures, the guy fits the part. If you look at his size, he fits the part. So maybe they see something that others don't. They obviously seen something in Johnny Wilson that other people didn't. They seen something in Trey Benson, like 2 legs in him that only other people saw 1 in. So obviously they see something. And maybe this kid proves everybody wrong and proves the coaching staff right for going after him. Time will tell. We will know.
I mean, I sure as hell tell people all the time, I have no idea how I even saw the field as a freshman. I think it worked out for me. So, I mean, you just don't know. Sometimes some of us are big fish in little ponds. And then when we get a chance to be around some really, really top guys, our bodies naturally develop to mirror the images around us. So, like I always tell people, like when you think about Jordan Davis, the big D tackle for the Philadelphia Eagles from Georgia. Everybody talked about he's a 3-star. And I'm like, well, let's not get carried away. He's a 3-star surrounded by a bunch of 5-stars. And that helped bring his level of talent higher. It brought it out of him. So maybe that will come. Maybe it will develop him. So, I mean, he's not even an early enrollee. So that's another thing that just, again, we'll see what he does. Hopefully it works out. If it doesn't, he'll, get a degree or transfer out.
I agree. And I will say this. Maybe the kid was brought in because of someone they expect to transfer out. You never know. There could be someone on this list or someone that's in the room right now that they don't anticipate being here after spring. So that might be the reason why they took him.
I forgot Dix, too. I don't want anybody to – I forgot all about Dix. Dix still here, right? He has it.
Yeah, no, he's here.
That's what I was trying to remember.
He's still here. We're going to talk about this just a little bit because Miami fans get on my damn nerves. So this is the Miami hate moment of this show. I ain't never had a Miami hate moment. Well, I have, just never titled it that way. Miami making fun, and James talked about this on his show earlier today too. Miami making fun of Florida State for renting a helicopter. Said that their guy and Mario Cristobal don't rent helicopters. He owns a helicopter. Or Miami owns one. I don't know if they own one or not, but I know the one that he showed up in damn sure wasn't owned by Miami. Because it was the same one that Kirby Smart rented from Georgia to go visit some people he wanted to see. Then Mario Cristobal, a few days later, a week later, rents that same helicopter, and he goes and visits the people he wants to visit. How do we know it's the same helicopter? Well, just like your car has a tag number on it, all aircraft have an ID number on that chopper, which is big enough for you to see if it's parked anywhere. You can see it. And it's the exact lettering and exact numbers for both pictures. Therefore, it's the same helicopter. Therefore, everyone rents a helicopter when they're going to look at players across the country or close enough. Not across the country because you don't fly a helicopter that far. But 100, 200 miles probably is not a problem. So everybody rents helicopters. And I thought it was funny because James brought up on a show that even if Miami owned a helicopter, you're bragging about someone else having money while you work at Wendy's.
I did say that, didn't I?
You said that. And I agreed with it so much that I was like, we're going to bring that up again tonight on Spirit X because it is those exact people that are bragging about someone else's money. They're bragging about how great or how much money their university or their coaches got. If you're bragging about somebody else's money, you probably already got problems that you need to take care of because it ain't your money. It ain't anything that you did to create the ability to rent a helicopter because that still costs money. And it still ain't your money. So you're still bragging regardless of whether it's rented, owned, borrowed, whatever. You're still bragging about someone else's doings, not your own.
I mean, and let's just be like, unless you're going to have a helicopter service, Kobe Bryant owned a helicopter. No, actually, Kobe Bryant used the helicopter service. He could afford it. But the reason why he did it was because it was cheaper for him to be able to get from where he lived at the top of the mountains to LA than it was for him to drive a car. He had a car service when he got down there, but to avoid the traffic and be in traffic for hours, he had a helicopter that would cut his commute to a 30-minute commute. A helicopter is only designed to take you but so far. And if you are, like for example, if I'm visiting people in Miami or I'm visiting people in Orlando, I'm not taking a helicopter from Tallahassee to Orlando. Like you can take a plane, but it doesn't make any sense to take a helicopter. And so that's why you rent those. But like it's really all the craze now. The craze is you land the helicopter on the high school football field. Everybody. Matter of fact, in Jacksonville, they wouldn't allow Mike to do it because the city athletic director, Tammy Talley, decided that she didn't want him to land the helicopter at Mandarin High. And it's just, a lot of this stuff is just, again, it's false. Like, it's just like with Miami a couple years ago with Manny, they were talking about these guys are renting a yacht. And I've been on a yacht before. And I know what a yacht looks like. First and foremost, I don't want to be on a yacht with a bunch of men, especially as a young man. I would prefer to be on a yacht with some, if I'm a young man, with some ladies. And I know what the difference between a fishing boat and a yacht is. That was just a really nice fishing boat. A yacht is what Shad Khan has. But even then, there was like a bunch of people bragging about this, and that's not going to be your everyday life at the University of Miami. Everybody talks about how the city life and the nightlife is down in Miami. I don't care if you are having a fat NIL deal. I'll tell you this much. $1 million in Miami is not $1 million in Tallahassee. And if you got $1 million in Tallahassee, actually, if you got $100,000 in Tallahassee, you're going to have a great time as a college student. Doesn't really matter what you do. In Miami, you're probably $1 million is damn near $100,000. You are still low on the totem pole. It's not like you're finna go to these different places. And also, the life down there is designed for 25 and up for the real fun stuff. A college campus is designed for 18 to 21. Like that's why I don't have as great of a time when I go back to Tallahassee. The city's not designed for me outside of some other places. But I just it's just a thing where that's starting to rub me the wrong way. And then I start seeing people brag, and I don't like. One thing you'll never see, I'll never tell anybody what I make or what I don't make. I don't know how much money I make. I put it like that. But I can tell what some people make or don't make by what they brag about and what they talk about as confidently as possible. And I'm like, you can tell you've never experienced anything outside of seeing it on social media. And which is nothing wrong with that. You don't have to do that. But again, when we're bragging about things like it's ours, there is something wrong with that. Just enjoy your life where it's at. Just let the games be played. Let's stop talking about broke boy universities and our guys have this, because you don't. Even your lying ass Cuban isn't as rich as he thinks, as you guys think he is.
No. So my Miami hate moment is y'all are hating on Florida State for renting a helicopter, and y'all do the same damn thing. So shut your mouth. Make sure them fries are hot and get them out the damn window in time. Wendy's expects better. Beyond that, with me naming those 2024 guys that came in for junior day, which there's been a few junior days here for the past couple of weeks. I told people on the YouTube channel that are members, I told people that are part of the Discord because if you become a YouTube member, you get the Discord for free. As long as you pay your subscription for YouTube, you always have the Discord as well. I told everyone 2 nights ago on the Discord and also on the YouTube membership, expect a commitment in the next couple of days. Today, we had a 2023 linebacker commit. I told people today that don't be surprised by this weekend-ish, maybe a little bit before, to have another 2024 guy commit verbally to Florida State. There's more details in the Discord. There's more details if you're a member on YouTube about who they could be. I'll give you 3 or 4 guys that would potentially commit. You can pick between those because I'm not taking a commitment from anyone. So, with that said, if you want those things, if you want to see the possibilities of who's coming or who's committing, become a member on YouTube, and it also gives you the Discord membership for free. William McMillan just gave us a $2 donation. Appreciate it. Make sure you ask a question, William, or make a statement, and I will put that up here and read it off. And also, it will be able to be read. But I do appreciate the donation regardless. So if you want to put something up there, I'll read it off. And here's the other thing, guys. We've got, like I've been telling people, I've been telling fans that Florida State and Mike Norvell in particular, is going in 2024 is going to land the best recruiting class that he has ever recruited as a head coach. Regardless if that's at Florida State or if that's at Memphis, it doesn't matter. It will be the best class that he has ever recruited. He has also stated verbally that 2024, that class, because who he anticipates that is going to commit and become a Knoll, he says that class he feels will win a national championship. That doesn't mean we're going to win it in 2024. He's saying the guys that come in 2024, if they stick with the team, they will be a team that wins a national title. That's bold from a head coach to say something like that. Does that mean that we don't anticipate that we're going to try to win one in 2024 or 2023? No. It's just stating that he feels like the amount of talent, the guys that he's putting together, the guys that are going to still be here from the previous 2 years will be good enough for us to compete for a national title. Is he right? I don't know. He seems to be pretty good at evaluating. Seems to be on a certain trajectory where he thinks Florida State is going. He might have a plan for the next 10 years. I don't know. But I will tell you that the man's confident in what he's putting together. He's confident what his staff's doing. He's confident in the guys that he's bringing in as far as athletes go. So I'm not going to knock him. I'm just going to support him throughout the entire time, whether we win a title or not. Because right now, I want an ACC title, first and foremost. You got to get one of those. Well, I don't necessarily don't have to, but I would prefer to get one of those before we get a national title. And it also would solidify being able to get that title if you become the ACC championship or champion. So, James, do you think Florida State has a better than 60% chance of winning an ACC title this year?
Yeah, I'll give you that. It's only one team you got to knock off. Only truly one team you have to knock off. And I think they're not as good as they used to be. And I think for the first time we've seen Dabo make changes because he sees it. He's been comfortable. Fired his OC, hired a new guy. He runs a system very similar. Well, if you go watch TCU, you can see the similarities between what Mike did at Memphis and what TCU is doing. But that wasn't really his offense. Anybody who knows TCU, the mastermind is the head coach. Sonny's the mastermind behind that. But they got rid of that. They got rid of their quarterback coach. They're trying some different things. They have a young, talented quarterback one that we all assumed was extremely talented until we got a chance to see a game plan made for him. And when everything was there and designed for him, and he kind of folded. You see guys transferring out. You see, for the first time, them not being happy with their recruiting classes. And I just think that's It's a little funny, man. A little funny.
It is. It's actually hilarious. But everybody, what we've been trying to do. So everybody that's on here listening, everybody that might rewatch this, that might not have the opportunity to watch it live right now, make sure you do me a favor and you go to Den Media YouTube page, subscribe. It's 100% for free. Subscribe to the channel. Once that channel reaches 2,000 subscribers, James will be giving away $200 to a winner. He also has a personal YouTube page. I believe it's Big Game James 36, or what is it?
Yeah, Big Game James _36.
Find that one, subscribe to it. Once it gets to 1,000, he's going to give $100 away. Plus, he's going to start putting a lot of content on it. The reason it needs to get to 1,000 so we can monetize, or he can monetize it, and then he'll start putting a bunch of content on it. And get this, he's not going to stop there. So once the channels get to, or the first channel gets to 3,000, he's going to give somebody $300. When he gets to 4,000, he's going to give somebody $400. So basically, he's going to give you 10% of the money for the amount of followers. So if you have 5,000 followers, he's going to give you $500. I don't know where you live or where you're at, but I would go subscribe just for the opportunity of possibly winning. And this time, if my name gets twisted, I get the money. Because I seen it. I don't think they thought I was going to see it. But they did a giveaway for some tickets to the Jacksonville game, and I won the damn thing if somebody didn't want them. And he said, Chris can't have it.
Yeah.
He said, I can have it.
I did say that.
I was like, well, damn. I might have wanted to go. But anyways, the first person that won took him anyway. But what I'm saying is, I got to talk him into letting me get 10% of the money. If we hit 2,000, I'm in the names. Because I don't care how much money I got. More money's better.
That's true.
I'm doing similar things. I'm not giving away money, so to say. I am, because I give away tickets. But I'm doing stuff like this. I give away football cards of Florida State athletes. Previous, current, way back in the day. Future knows possibly. I give cards away for you to subscribe. If you become a member, I send you a jersey card. It looks like this. That piece of square right there, that is part of the jersey that they put inside the card. So if you become a member, I don't care if you become a silver chief, a gold chief, or a platinum chief, you'll get one of these cards. And no, that does not count for the people that already did it. It only counts for the ones when I started doing the promo. The ones that already did it, I already am sending them a gift. I didn't have these to give. It was something else. But if you become a member here at Spirit Addicts, you subscribe to Spirit Addicts, you have an opportunity of winning one of these if you just subscribe. Or if you become a member, you get one of these. So it's not hard to do. I give out as much inside information as I can. Because believe it or not, I can't tell you name for name, person for person, all of that stuff, because I would be taken away from the ones I do know. I don't know every one of them either. So let's get that straight now. But the ones I do know, I'm not going to tell you, hey, this kid is going to verbally commit on this day at this time and take that away from him. I will give you enough information that you can figure it out, but you can't put it out there and say you 100% know, because then you're going to put it back on me that, well, Chris told me on Spirit Addicts. And then it gets back to me, and then I got Florida State and possibly that kid's father and mother calling me, why'd you take that away from my son? And that ain't happening. So I do tell you other information. Like I dropped a thing about Florida State building a health facility that they're building before they dropped it. I gave you some information about why I think Florida State's gearing up to be in the Big Ten. I gave you information I gave you plenty of evidence of why we're gearing up to go into the Big Ten. And a lot of people are now dropping episodes about why they think we're going to go in the Big Ten. So whether we go to the Big Ten or we go to the SEC, I don't really care. I just want to get the hell out of the ACC because they ain't going to pay us. And Florida State's worth the money. So know your worth. Florida State knows their worth. Now it's time to get paid. Whoever wants to do the paying, our bank account's wide open for it. But I personally believe that the Big Ten is where Florida State's going to go. I've said it. James has said it. A lot of people get mad. They say that it doesn't make sense for us to go to the Big Ten because geographically it doesn't make sense. Well, it does, because I showed y'all on the episode I did this on. We fly to Syracuse. It's a 4-hour and 59-minute flight. We fly to Michigan to play Michigan. It's a 4-hour and 59-minute flight. Same distance. We already played that team in Syracuse. So if we go to Michigan, we're just replacing Syracuse with Michigan. We fly to Boston College. It's 4 hours and 15 minutes. If we go play Illinois or someone like that, it's 4 hours and 15 minutes. The flight's the same. The only way it gets ridiculous is if we play the Big Ten West, which takes us over now to UCLA or USC, which I don't mind doing once a year, because then you open your recruiting up to California. And we have a lot of Noles in California. Y'all look at our Florida State Seminole clubs, alumni clubs, they're in California. They're pretty damn big. There's a lot of fans in California that love Florida State, believe it or not. Y'all wouldn't believe this if I told you, but fans for Florida State are global. They don't just live in Tallahassee. They don't just live in the Southeast. We have more people that watch Florida State football from Australia, the country, than we do the majority of the states in the United States. Go figure. It might be because we've got a kicker from Australia, but it doesn't matter. Regardless, they've become fans of Florida State, and they continue to watch them. We've had other kickers from Australia. That's where it started. So we've got countries that watch this team. They're talking about Florida State potentially playing in Ireland in the coming years. I don't know why. I don't know who we're going to play, but they talk about it. It's very possible. We're trying to make this thing global. I think they're doing a good job of it. I think Florida State's doing a good job all the way around, to be honest, especially if Michael Alford and I hate when I don't remember the president's name.
Oh, wait a minute. Our president, school president, or the booster?
School president. McCullough. So if President McCullough and athletic director Alford land us into the Big Ten, they might go down in history as saviors for Florida State University, in my opinion. If they get us that money, they're gonna put their names in the history books for Florida State, I think. Because Florida State deserves to be getting paid that type of money. Florida State demands that type of money due to viewership that we get. We do a really good job. Regardless of how good or bad we are, we demand viewers. It's proven every year, year in, year out. So, James, with that, we've got 2 minutes left. I did tell everybody to follow your YouTube. Also, y'all can find him at BigGameJames_36 on Twitter. Also, you can find him on Instagram. And at Facebook, you can find him by his name, which is James Anthony Coleman. So, it's not hard to find. If you want to find him, you can search his name, or you can go to my page, and I've got stuff with him tagged all in it. Click on him, follow him. Make sure you're checking out his content. Puts out a lot of content about all kinds of different stuff. Sports, whether it be high school. He'll let you know about stuff that's going on in Jacksonville if you care. Just all kinds of stuff that goes on. Whether it be the Jaguars, whether it be with him hanging out with the mayor. It doesn't matter. And congratulations, his cigar lounge got the best cigar lounge in Jacksonville. Just got that award. So obviously he's doing something right. He knows what he's doing, because it seems like everything that he's touching turns into what it's supposed to, which is getting rewards or being in the number one spot of something. Because Spirit Addicts has done a very good job here on the recent too. I just received an award I'm supposed to receive the award from Apple for being the second